from the Live Free or Die state, Mr. Paul, the Patriot Boulanger, who's going to talk about impasse items.
Hey, brothers and sisters, how are you? Paul Boulanger from Branch 44. Oh, you made it to the finish line. We're here. I know Corey said some of this stuff is a little tedious, but brothers and sisters, we have to have this stuff down pat before we sit in a room with the postmaster and argue about it. So thank you for hanging in there. Now I get the privilege of talking to you a little bit about LMOU impasse appeals. This is where the rubber meets the road, right, brothers and sisters? This is the fun stuff. Now, before I jump right into it, I want to circle back to something that Anita touched upon when we first started. Items that fall outside of the 22 listed under Article 30. Now, in a 1993 National Arbitration decision, Arbitrator Mittenthal decided that any agreements outside of the 22 items on Article 30 are not subject to mandatory bargaining. Once you bargain for it, you keep it. But remember the adage, if you don't have something in writing, brother, you ain't got it. If you currently have stuff in your office that you're taking for granted, consider adding it to your LMOU. A couple examples might be food and drinks at your case, maybe some photos and magnets that you're hanging at your carrier case, portable radios in your vehicles, smoking as part of a morning 5-minute personal need time. Maybe no lunch authorizations. That's another one we see a lot of. And safety duties. Some stewards are allowed to do a safety walk through the installation every morning. And another one is union t-shirts. A lot of offices will have carriers able to wear like hoodies or baseball caps in the morning before they hit the road. If your local is getting opened, it doesn't hurt to try to get these things in. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, hey, brother, these are past practices. If somebody tries to take these away, we're just going to file a grievance. If you read Article 5, if you file a past practice grievance, management has the right to bargain in good faith to take that back. So if it's in your LMOU and outside of those 22 items, it can't be touched. Now I want to talk to you about protecting those particular items. What we want to do is we want to build a force field around these items. But how do we do that? The first thing we need to do is make sure our LMOUs are laid out correctly. Structure of LMOUs are very important. We don't talk about it a lot. Is your LMOU listed from items 1 through 22? We see a lot of them that are listed by article numbers. Article 8, Article 11. It has to be numbered correctly. If you have to put numbers in there, do it. Put a number wherever it belongs, even if it's out of order. Get those numbers where they belong. Make a clear separation between items 1 through 22 and any other agreements you might have. Now you can do this by just putting a line under the last item, 22, and just list other negotiated items. Or you can just start numbering, 23, 24, and so on. The big mistake we see a lot, item 21 and 22 is a catch-all. Corey just went through item 21. Item 21 is those other items provided in the craft provisions of this agreement. That does not mean the kitchen sink, brothers and sisters. That means Article 41. It's not a dumping ground for all of your other agreements. If anything is listed in there that doesn't belong, you need to move it out. Move the exact language. Make no changes. Very important. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So let's say the Postal Service insists on trying to negotiate an item that you know is protected. It's outside of the 22, and they file an impasse appeal. Your argument should be that the service has violated the language of the Mittenthal Award, and your case is not arbitrable. Now, brothers and sisters, as an advocate, we love this because this is one of the only times that the union gets to argue arbitrability. We're the ones filing the grievances, right? This time the post office is filing something and we get to get it thrown out. So if you see this, go get them. Go get them. So what if the LMOU negotiation period is not open and management decides to go after something like no lunches or wearing hoodies and baseball caps in the morning and it's in your LMOU? Well, now you revert back to the grievance procedure. You file a grievance under Article 30, and in your line 17 contentions, you can talk about the Mittenthal Award, you can talk about the LMOU, but it's a grievance process if it's outside of the LMOU negotiating period. Okay, so during the LMOU open negotiating period, the Postal Service or the union have the right to bargain over items 1 through 22 that we just went through in detail, and this could lead to an impasse. So, if an item is impassed, what is that? What's an impasse? What's an impasse appeal? So an impasse is just what it sounds like. It's a failure to reach an agreement. Now, either party can raise an impasse, but there's different rules. We already touched on them a little bit. We're going to get into specifics. If the USPS brings an impasse appeal forward, they have two arguments that they can make. The first is that it's in conflict with the national agreement. Now, they've always had this right. You know, if they put something in the LMOU, or we do, that's not in accordance with the national agreement, they have a chance to get it out of there if it's in conflict. But since the 2001 national agreement, management has had only one opportunity to make this challenge, and the next LMOU open period. So, give you an example. Let's say 4 years ago, you negotiated with the Postal Service that carriers who come in on Sundays are going to get an extra $100 automatically before they even clock in if they volunteer to work. Now, of course, that's against Article 8 and everything we know and live by. But if it gets to this period right now where we're negotiating our LMOUs and they don't address it, they can't address it in the future. Even though it's in conflict with the agreement, they've had their one chance to take it out. And I just want to bring this up. We do have a lot of changes to Article 8 in this current contract, so this argument could show up. Now, I'm going to give you a tip. Remember when I told you if you move something, don't change anything? Management has something that they might try to pull on you, and this is good to remember. If you have language in your LMOU that they say, well, you know, we could clear that up. Maybe if we add a comma here or add another sentence, it'll make it a little clearer for us to understand. Don't do it. That's a trick. If you change the wording or the grammar or something of an LMOU provision, you are creating a new provision. Now, this can be brought up and the next LMOU is in conflict. So they're trying to open that window. Don't let them do it. Second argument that the Postal Service can bring in, Corey talked about this, unreasonable burden. Remember, just like Corey said, an unreasonable burden is more than just a burden. This is a heavy stone to roll, brothers and sisters. The union does not need to show this. We don't need to show an unreasonable burden. All we need to show is that our offer makes the most sense. Or as we heard earlier, it articulates a legitimate, bona fide, objective reason. Okay, so the first step in an LMOU appeal, we need to notify our business agent's office that this is coming their way. We don't want them to get 100 appeals on the last day of the process and not have the staffing to take care of it. So we're going to contact them and we're going to let them know that, hey, we've got some items that aren't going to get through. They're coming your way. Get ready. Second step, to fill out an impasse appeal form. Now, this is going to be up on our page right here in a second. You can find this on the branch president's portal on the NALC page under President Documents, Local Negotiations, Impasse Appeal Form. This form can be downloaded directly right from that site and edited to fill your needs. You can cut and paste whatever you need. It's very basic information, brothers and sisters. You're going to check the boxes, which party is filing the appeal, which of the 22 items is being appealed, and the specific part of those items. Now, you need to file a separate one of these forms for every issue that you change. You could have multiple ones for each item if you're changing different wording for different reasons. Next, you need to list the exact language as it appeared in your current LMOU. Now you go to your notes because you've kept good notes, right? And you list your first proposal, then management's counteroffer, then your second proposal, and their second counteroffer. And you keep doing that until you reach the final proposal of each party. Now, I want to bring up something that, we talk about all the time. Why do we go through this process? You know, we know that we want 12% off for prime time leave. Why are we going in there asking for 17 and they're asking for 9? You know, why don't we just go in there and say 12, yes or no? Well, here's the problem. How does it look if we offer no counter proposals and management makes 3 offers? You know, it looks like we're not being reasonable if this goes to an arbitrator, and that's the last thing we want. So the final thing on this form, this appeal form, is you and your management counterpart will sign, date, and initial list and make 4 copies. Now, this is very important. The impasse appeal form contains a description of our dispute. This is the only form that you mail to Labor Relations Service Center in Washington, D.C., and to your postmaster. This is the address of the Labor Relations Center. It's P.O. Box 23788, Washington, D.C., 20026. Now, you can mail multiple appeal sheets in the same envelope, but as we just talked about, each separate issue that you appeal, even if it's separate issues within an item, they all have to have their own appeal form. Okay, so you've got that in the mail. We also need to formulate arguments and contentions and gather evidence if we hope to be successful. Now, one item you got to remember, if we're researching an LMOU appeal, we have the same grievance rights as we do when we file a grievance under Articles 17 and 31. If someone doesn't want to give you information, you file a grievance. All right, so when you're going to create these arguments and evidence, you're going to first put a copy of your current LMOU inside this envelope that's going only to your business agent's office. Your argument, your LMOU, your evidence goes to one place, your business agent's office. Never, never, never send these to labor relations or to your postmaster. Your supporting arguments do not go out with the impasse appeal form. They are not shared with management. I'm telling you this for a reason, brothers and sisters. We've had some firsthand reports from the field that some regional LMOU trainings have been given some conflicting instructions. Now, I'm going to tell you, when it comes to education, we don't point fingers, right? We just want to get it right for our brothers and sisters. But I'm going to tell you right now, the only thing that goes to management is that appeal form, nothing else. So what I want to do now is, it's kind of hard to put a circle around what exactly an appeal argument is. So I'm making up an example here for you, and this is straight out of the Postal Service LMOU Training Guide for Management. So this is a relevant example, and this is, by the way, the most often topic gone out that management goes after, which is your prime time leave quota. So what if management decides to attack the annual leave quota allowed off for the choice vacation period? Say, for instance, you've got 150 routes in your office in the past, maybe 10 years ago, and you had 18 carriers allowed off. But now you're down to 100 routes. So that's a much larger percentage off during prime time, right? So they're going to appeal the language under item 9, the maximum number of employees who shall receive leave each week during the choice vacation period. So what can we anticipate as their arguments? This is how we approach this, okay? We're going to bullet point what we think that they're going to say. And we should know this, right? We've sat down with them. We've bargained over this. We've taken good notes. Now we can go back and review them. Here's some things that management might try to show. Maybe they're going to put some undelivered mail reports out there showing that mail's sitting on the floor. It hasn't gone out. Routes haven't gone out. Maybe they're going to say that employees can go home early now at 12 hours because we have that right. It's a stupid argument, right? Because we should be able to go home at 12 hours, but now they can't make us work 13 or 14. They're probably going to include some attendance control information showing that sick leave usage. We're using a benefit that we've negotiated and we're bad. Customer complaints of undelivered mail. You're going to see that. Overtime usage is high. They're going to say this creates an unreasonable cost burden. But as Corey told you, overtime costs are not an unreasonable burden. The Postal Service and the union have negotiated this, and it's paid on a daily basis. Another item they like talking about is the last dispatch of value. That's the last pickup of outgoing mail. They're going to say that it's not being met because carriers are coming back too late when we have too many people off on vacation. Well, brothers and sisters, we're going to argue that in a minute. I'm sure you're already thinking of your arguments. Well, another thing they might mention is the financial losses of the Postal Service. We're almost broke. We're going to be privatized, et cetera, et cetera. We can't have these carriers taking vacations. So now, like I said, you're probably foaming at the mouth right now, right? These garbage arguments, you're ready to take them down. Let's take this fight to them. For our arguments, I do the same thing. I'll write our bullet points out. We'll contest what we think that they're going to say, and we'll come up with our own ideas and arguments as well. So I get some bullet points listed here. Number 1, the ability of carriers to volunteer to work over 12 hours will increase full-time workforce assistance. I'm not a big fan of this contract provision, brothers and sisters. We can work 13, 14, 15 hours. That's great. But we got to make that argument here. We've got to say that this is going to help the Postal Service because we can work more hours. Contractual increases will promote increased hiring and retention of our part-time workforce. I don't know if any of you believe that. I'm not sure I believe it. But the Postal Service believed it when they negotiated this contract. When they provided this pay rate for CCAs, they planned on it increasing our workforce, right? So we're going to make that argument. Changes to Article 8 will generate fewer grievances nationwide. Well, unfortunately, that's true. But we're going to use that argument. Stewards aren't filing grievances. That's saving the Postal Service money, and some of these stewards can go carry their routes. Changes to the overtime desired list will encourage more employees to work overtime. This is a good one. Parents with young children in school have to pick up their kids after school. They're going to school events after they get out of work. Now they're able to get on an overtime list. They can work their non-scheduled days. So this is going to increase the workforce. Management presents an artificial burden with 204B employees. Brothers and sisters, you got to throw this in there. If they're trying to take 2 vacation slots away from you and they've got 2 people that are 204Bs, You tell them to get those people out of their chairs and on the streets. 6, staffing is entirely in the hands of the Postal Service. This is absolutely the truth. The union cannot control the staffing issues of the Postal Service. If they can't staff, they should offer a good contract with fair benefits and fair pay. That's how it's done. We can't control that. Number 7, when we negotiated this current leave percentage, we gave up something in return. Go back in your notes. Hopefully you kept good notes, right, in previous LMOUs. What if we gave up a week of primetime vacation in exchange? What if we gave up Christmas week? And they're not offering to give that back to us, are they? Nope, but they want to take that extra leave percentage down. Number 8, overtime alert reports show how many people are employees are available to work additional hours. They're going to tell you there's a staffing shortage. You can see right there on those overtime alert reports, there's plenty of hours not worked by carriers, right? They're going to leave people home and say that they're short-staffed. And number 9, Corey brought this up just a couple times, I think 1 or 2, that we've got 600 LMOUs for you to reference. And you can get more if you just Google some of your nearby offices. Find out which of these LMOUs benefit your argument. If you've got LMOUs with 15 or 16% leave ratios and you've got 12% and management's trying to take some away, you get a pretty good argument there that, hey, why would I go lower than what other people already have way much higher than us? All right, the argument of not making last dispatch of value. This is a good one. A lot of offices now, the mail is just sitting on the floor, right? The end of the day, but they're saying there's no impact to delivery standards. Somehow, magically, this mail sitting overnight doesn't make a difference. We know that's not true, but we're going to use their arguments against us. If they're saying that mail can sit on the floor and it doesn't impact delivery standards, how can they say that us coming back late because they're short-staffed makes a delivery standard issue? And the last one, the leave calendar from the previous year. You should always include this, if it benefits your argument, to show that weeks aren't fully utilized. If they're not filling up these weeks and they're saying there's some kind of crisis, there is no crisis. So all of these arguments, brothers and sisters, should be accompanied by as much evidence as we can provide. These LMOUs from other offices, don't be afraid to include 10, 15, 20 LMOUs. Stack that thing with 100 pages if you have to. Leave calendars, overtime alert reports, LMOU notes, copied pages of new contractual language. If we present our strongest case that we can to our regional office, we have the best chance of prevailing in any LMOU dispute. So before I let you go, a few housekeeping issues. July 9th, mark this on your calendar. This is the last date for impasse appeals to be received by your NBA, labor relations, and your postmaster. This really means that you should have them in the mail by the 4th of July at the latest. As a matter of fact, just get them out by July 1st. Get these things in the mail. Return receipt certified. If you're running late, priority mail, priority express mail with tracking, so there's no questions. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, don't wait till the last minute. If these things are not received in time, they become null and void. The last thing you want to do is lose a good argument because you were lazy. And on a final note, do yourselves a favor, go out and buy a fluorescent pink Barbie folder or something that really stands out and put all of your LMOU notes and copies of your impasse material in it. Put it on a shelf in your union office along with your previous LMOU, your new LMOU. I'm telling you guys, 4, 8, 10 years from now, because that's how long this can go, when you need to track this down, you're going to look on that shelf, you're going to see that pink folder, and you're going to thank me. So that's really all I have for you, brothers and sisters. Charlie, take it away.
All right, brother. I got a question for you.
Sure.
Can you explain the difference between the grievance process and the impasse procedure?
Yeah, the grievance process is we're providing all of our arguments at Formal A, and we're negotiating, the stewards first on a lower level are negotiating firsthand with all of our evidence and arguments. When it comes to LMOU impasse appeals, these arguments are made by our advocates, and they have very lax rules of evidence. So when you get to an arbitration hearing for interest arbitration, you can start pulling stuff out of your briefcase that they've never even seen before. So we don't want to give all our arguments away like we do in the grievance procedure. We don't have that responsibility. So that's one of the very important things why I keep stressing. Do not send all of your evidence and arguments to the Postal Service. This goes to your advocates so they can fight your fight for you.
I want to say congratulations to everyone that got on for staying on and getting this comprehensive training that we have. And we want to say thank you very much. This is part of the CLC's platform in regards to education. Education is key, and we want to make sure that the membership is well informed and not just, like I said, what to do, but how to do your job. And so I want to thank each and every one of the presenters today that was featured in presenting the information to you. Each and every one of you did a fantastic job. Thank you to the participants for putting in questions that would help further bring out additional information so we can be able to continue to educate the membership as a whole. This is just a one edition of many from before to now that we have with regards to continuing education with the membership. Make sure that you stay informed. Continue to follow us on our social media, such as the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Thread, virtually all of them we have. Please, if you have not done so as of yet, make sure that you do go on and like us and follow us on all of our social media sites. Also, remember that we have a website, concernlettercarriers.com. You can go on there and you can get additional information that some things that are perhaps not on the social media. So please make sure that you do that and stay connected with us. We are immensely grateful for all of your participation and your continued participation and involvement in the future. So thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you, and each and every one of you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Take care now.